Okay.
Otherwise, I also prefer to present from this side, but then I have
Don't
my
worry about
back
it.
towards here. Is that a problem? Like, because I think I don't feel comfortable on this
Go
side.
ahead.
It's easier. So is it okay if I do it? Sorry. Okay, I welcome you all to my presentation about the healthcare system in New Zealand, as you can see. And I first talked a little bit about the country, the history, and then about the health system itself, and then about the health outcomes. As we all know, or I guess you all know, New Zealand is southeast of Australia, in the Pacific. It's like 2 islands. You have the northern and the southern islands, and Wellington is the capital. About the country. New Zealand has a little bit more than 4.5 million people. Political system is a constitutional monarchy, and Queen Elizabeth is like the queen, with a parliamentary system, and is a member of the Commonwealth. The voting system is a mixed member proportional system, and capital Wellington, currency New Zealand dollars, and GDP per capita is 36,842 in 2016. The history. I start with 2 facts, which maybe you can remember from New Zealand. New Zealand was actually the last habitable place in the world to be discovered. I think it's maybe we can discuss that or dispute that, but it was written on the governmental homepage very proudly. And I think even more important, or definitely more important, it was the first country in the world to give women the vote. My country almost needed 100 years more to get there. Yes, the history. So the Maori, that's the natives from New Zealand, they came like 800 to 1,000 years ago from Polynesian islands in the Pacific and discovered the island and settled it. Abel Tasman was the first European and Dutch explorer, 1642. He actually never set foot on the islands, but he discovered it. It took another 100 years that Captain James Cook then set foot on the islands. But it's still like, it took time, like until 1840 there was like whalers, sealers, or missionaries which were like trading with the Maoris. And the main trade was like weapons and disease, which, as we know, in a lot of places in the world, led to a decline of the population. The 19th and 20th century was very influenced by the British, because 1840 was like the Treaty of Waitangi, I'm not sure if I say it right, where there was an agreement signed by most Maori leaders and the Queen of England, like representatives of the Queen of England, which actually officially made New Zealand a colony of the Brits. 20th century was still very influenced by the Britons, and as you could see, it's still like the monarch. She's still the Queen of New Zealand, and they're somehow also proud of it, or they're still having like close relations. But they more and more also strengthened the political ties with the United States and Australia, to kind of, because they realized in the world wars that they're actually very depending also from the protection from the United States and Australia. New Zealand fought in both world wars under the Brits. Yes, Dan Maori. Maybe you would say this is a little bit too much picture, but actually I think they're very proud of their culture, Maoris, and they present themselves like this. This is not something made up. It's like they're very proud of their culture. Because what I said now before, it sounds very harmonic and everyone is in peace, but like, I mean, every history has its like also backsides and its sad sides. So obviously also the Maori, they received increased pressure to sell their land and for settlement from the Europeans who came to New Zealand. That was mainly like late 19th century. So a high number of Maori land was confiscated or bought, and there was also wars. Like, it's not that harmonic, and it actually still has an impact also on the health outcomes, which I'm going to talk later about. Now is a small exercise. I try to. From the history, what you learned now, what do you think could be the healthcare system in New Zealand, or also which political kind of ideology it's based on.
In like
Some
the UK,
UKs.
maybe.
What?
UK. It's a
Yeah.
Commonwealth country.
So what is it? Is it like Bismarck or beverage or?
Beverage.
Beverage.
Absolutely, good job. And which ideology? More? Liberal? It was based, yes. So it's like everything else was very influenced by the British system, so it's like definitely the beverage model which influenced New Zealand and the healthcare system. So the health is provided and financed by the government through tax payments. This a little bit changed, like in most countries now in the last decades, and more there was a wave of privatization. So there were private clinics and private health insurance. I will not talk too much about how it's like constructed the health system, but you can say that there are 20 district health boards which are responsible for providing and funding the health care service to the people and health promotion. There's a lot of things in between, so they're also responsible for the quality or like that it's efficient or is it cost efficient. Now when I'm explaining the system, I'm going to talk a lot about if people are eligible for this publicly funded health service, and just that you have an understanding who is meant. Like the obvious, like it's a universal healthcare, so it's like for the citizens, for the residents, it's also for Australians who lived more than 2 years and were planning to stay, and people with a work visa who are planning to stay more than 2 years, and also some students with special scholarships or special student visas, but not all students, and people aged, children or teenagers below 17 years, and refugees, which I find very interesting, and victim or suspected victim of people trafficking offense. The health system. If you look into it, they really always say the first person you should talk to is your family doctor or your GP. They say it's like this is the key person for your health care. They mostly working in general practices, and enrollment is voluntary, but this is actually how you get it funded, like how it's like more cheaper for you. So it's definitely recommended. We only can get referred to the public hospitals through the doctors, and there are also practice nurses working there, and I think there was really an emphasis that everyone has a right for an interpreter. Interpreter. Thanks. Because also New Zealand culture becomes more and more multicultural. There are a lot of Asians and I think from Korea. So they really have emphasis on this one. The public hospitals are free of charge if you're eligible for. They're owned and funded by the district health boards. But the problem, like we know from UK, there's long waiting lists. And there was actually one discussion even that people thought they were on waiting lists, and actually they found out they're not. Like a huge amount of people were not on waiting lists. So I think out of this kind of reasons, there's more and more privatization. There's now this private urgent care clinics or A&M, accident medical care clinics, which just like you have to pay privately. Pharmacy, I just now go over the system. It's like just some points, just that you kind of try to get an insight. The pharmacies are community pharmacies. It's a prescription from the GP, family doctors, and mostly have to pay a fee, like $5, except children below 5. Dental health is free public dental service from until 18 years old, but adults need to pay. There's talk team numbers, there's child wellness. Like I think for children, it's really, I can talk more about it. It's very cared for. Like you can see, 0 fees for under 30. Since 2015, they voted for that there's no longer charge for visit for general practice. There's no $5 fee to pay anymore. They have access to after hours to pay. It's only if you are enrolled. And then they have like some systems how to make it cheaper for people who even have more like a special disease or who are from low to middle income class. I find it interesting that they wrote middle income. So the criteria is if you're 18 years or older, because like we saw before, like when you're younger, you get free charge either way. This is also possible for refugees or people with protected status. Then is this one, which I found most interesting. It's a high use card. So if you have visits more than 12 times, you can also get lower costs. And this one, I'm especially a fan. It's actually that almost all accidents are covered. Like if you have an accident, there's this accident compensation corporation by the government, and it's actually almost every accident, if you can prove it, is covered. Now for children. Well, child Tamariki Ora, so it's free of charge for everyone. There's this before school check, immunization. Like for children, I think it's really taken care. And even it really doesn't really depend on the visa situation, so children actually are very well covered. But as you can see, there was a publication just recently, now in June, that actually now if you go back to the natives, like to the Maori, there was a publication from it was funded by the government of New Zealand, and they compared the health status of non-Maori and Maori children, and they could really see, actually, if you look at the numbers, like all the health outcomes for the children from Maoris, it's worse. Like, as you, so you can see that there's a form of inequality. They said it's mostly children who are living very in, I guess, rather rural places where they don't have as much access. And there was always also emphasis on health rights. Like, when I read about the health system in New Zealand, there was always like, it's your right to complain, it's your right for an interpreter, it's your right to get health. Like, it was very emphasis, like, it's your public health, public right, sorry. The government also provides with this helpline, which I'm also a fan of. It's 24/7, it's a registered nurse which gives medical advices, so if you have an issue before you go to the doctor, you can actually call there, it's for free, and also their interpreters are available. They also have other helpful homepages, and I found it very available if you're a citizen or if you want to go to live in New Zealand. Like, I think it was very transparent, the system. And that's just like a recommendation they made, like they say, be prepared, listen and share, ask questions, note down next steps, and then you're going to get your best care, you know. Let's talk about health outcomes. That's very important. As you can see, and you know now all the numbers, like compared with other countries, it is a high-income country. It has a high life expectancy rate, 83.3 for female and 79.7 for male. Maternal mortality rate is low, 11, and infant mortality rate is 4.7. And the total health expenditure on health as percentage of GDP is 11. I'm going to go through some different health outcomes, more specific. So just here to see compared to the other OECD countries, it is in the higher majority. Hospital deaths is close to the United Kingdom, which is like maybe also explains it. It's rather in the lower part. Nurses, I give them a good note, but for doctors it's rather on the other side. Now, this is interesting, it doesn't really show, but I found it very interesting to see that overweight and obesity was actually second after the United States. But then when I looked at the diabetes, it was actually not like much increased. But I think this is something interesting to see. This is something I found personally interesting. I didn't know that the OECD now starts to compare C-section rates in countries, and I was very, very impressed. New Zealand is not doing too bad in the international ranking. It has like around 26% of all the births are C-sections. And just to point out, Israel, I think, can be very, very proud. They are like 15%. The total health spending reflects the health system. So the total health spending is $3,590 per capita, and 80%, like 2,662, is actually public funded. So this reflects the system, the universal health system. before I go to the satisfaction, I just wanted to, I don't have a slide for this, but causes of death in New Zealand. It's actually very classic, like for high-income countries. So you have like lung cancer, you have like ischemic heart disease, or obstructive pulmonary diseases. But interestingly, so they compared Maori and non-Maori people, and interestingly, you could see that both male groups, and even higher than non-Maori, have as a second or third range suicide as the highest number of death. So I think that's just also interesting to see. So now last, I think very important always to look at the satisfaction of the people with their system. And as you can see, like the New Zealanders are more, compared to other OECD countries, more satisfied. They're like 84% are satisfied. So what is in this? What does it mean to be satisfied? So it's like responsiveness of the healthcare system to patient needs is good. Let's say like this. And I think all in all we can say that New Zealand has a good healthcare system. Yeah, thank you.
And do you find that the Maori health, I know you addressed it a little bit, that there's disparities in the Maori health, but you talked about because of the rural.
No, I think in the beginning I said this a little bit, like from the historical background.
Yes.
So, I mean, from what I know, I didn't went too much into it because I wanted to focus on the healthcare system, but from what I know is, compared for example with Australia or United States, I think New Zealand say they kind of did it better. Like I think they, because also this agreement, like in this agreement, in this treaty, they said it's both have the same rights. So, and I think they tried to, it was really like trying to integrate both sides, like both cultures. And, but what I meant in the beginning, you can see from the history, so since they had to give away their land, so they were somehow suppressed, I think you can still until today see that they are now the minority, and they are the natives, yeah, so I think it shows a little bit now in the health outcomes. I think that's in what, I didn't go deeper in what kind of factors it shows, because obviously they have the same right for health. That's not the question.
I could actually see similarities with their neighbors in Australia, the Aboriginals.
I think there's even worse. I think the Aboriginals are doing less good than the Maori.
Yes,
They're really,
like the suicide
and alcohol
rate,
issues.
alcohol
Yes,
abuse, which is not too different from what's happening in the reservation.
exactly.
So you see like these parallels.
Exactly. But I didn't find too much. Like also, I told you I looked at the cause of death in the Maori. There was like maybe lung cancer, but it didn't say anything like where you could say they have a higher alcohol consumption. I didn't read it anywhere. So I really feel the Maoris, they're maybe more supportive in promoting their culture and traditions.
Okay, so this is just my interpretation. The Maori culture, it's almost treated like a little novelty or a caricature of some sort. You know, like for example, you showed a picture of them, doing that. Yes, they do that. I mean, if you watch rugby, I mean, they do the haka,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
They do the haka. They're very proud of that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I feel.
I was actually thinking if I should start
Yeah,
with it like this. Yes, I know.
Very, very dramatic, very interesting, very nice thing
Yes.
to see. But I'm just thinking, like if you think about Jonah Lomu, people like Jonah Lomu, I mean, people respect New Zealand for that. But what I'm just saying is, the Maori people, as a defeated people, I feel that their only contribution right now, they're just seen as a little, like a novelty, almost like a little ornament that you take home. Not people with feelings and, what do you call like defeated people, right?
So kind of like the Native Americans.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I know what you mean, but I still think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I see what you're saying, but I think still it's a little bit, from what I read, it's not just for this presentation. I think it's a little bit different because I feel that, so you're somehow right, because I heard there's a lot of tourism also, like going towards them, and they do all these tattoos now also, and they also want to be part, like, it's always this romanticization, but I'm still not sure if you can completely compare it, but I think I'm not the right person to answer this. I'm not sure what I know about the Aborigines and the natives in the United States, they're doing much worse, just about alcohol and unemployment.
I think it's all the case in every minority, every
Yeah.
Yes.
in the world.
When?
And,
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, just one.
No, except for South Africa.
Is that South Africa?
Yes, I mean, you said it's the same with every minority.
Almost.
No, except for South Africa.
Okay.
I mean, South Africa, minorities in South Africa are white.
I mean, maybe indigenous.
So indigenous.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Natives.
Yeah, right. The Aboriginal.
Aboriginal.
Just a
Yeah.
note on your
Yeah.
question. New Zealand compared to Australia is relatively small, very small.
Yes.
So we said in the first lecture that the geography of the place really influences, it has a lot of influence on the
Yes.
healthcare system and how it is provided.
Another point that, at least in the areas of medicine that I'm familiar with, like mental health, New Zealand suffers from a lack of physicians. Almost every international conference I go to, there's a stand trying to recruit psychiatrists, and I go to a psychiatric conference and maybe others as well. Other high-income countries had the same problem, Western Europe, but people preferred moving from Eastern Europe and from India to Western Europe versus Australia, which is very far. So I think that's a challenge which is probably going to get more severe as time goes on, and they're literally attracting physicians with financial incentives, locums, things like that, and that it'll probably progress.
I think that could maybe explain also why this. When are you eligible for public health fundings? Actually, I found them quite broad. Like I found them quite nice, and I know, for example, Australia is very strict. With they don't let anyone in. So I think that could maybe explain the whole situation. So they want people to come actually to work. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to go back to the indigenous people issue. Kingdom raises a very interesting point. Remember that there are minorities and there are indigenous people, and it isn't always that the minorities are indigenous, and it isn't always that the minorities are discriminated against. There are a number of countries where the minorities are empowered.
Right.
Okay, I mean, if you look at both Syria and Iraq before the revolution, before the American invasion, excuse me, the revolution, was a minority. Likewise in Syria, right? Those are minorities that are controlled. Okay. Let's just talk about indigenous people, because many countries have indigenous peoples. Ariel, in Sweden, did you read about the indigenous people of Sweden?
There are a few. There are mainly Finnish and Swedish.
So there's a population of people called the Sami people, and they live in Finland, Sweden, and Norway, and maybe even Russia, and they live up around the Arctic Circle, and they float back and forth among these countries. They don't really have the same citizenship requirements, okay? So here you have a socialist country, wealthy, that has its indigenous peoples. And how do you deal with them? Okay. And how do you create a health system that takes care of all of the people? When you have universal care, you have all of the people, including the indigenous peoples. So I read an interesting paper written by Olga for Practicum. Okay. So what are the indigenous peoples of, I'm going to make a point with this, what are the indigenous people of this land? Now, before anybody gets upset, okay, this is what wars have been fought over here, right? Okay. But my understanding is the real indigenous people of this land are called what group? The Bedouins. The Bedouins. Okay? So you have in Israel a sophisticated medical care system and healthcare system. You have a subpopulation of Bedouins. You're responsible as a government for taking care of them. What's the problem?
Nomadic. Well,
They're nomadic.
They're nomadic.
So why is that a problem?
From
cannot-
Jordan to Israel.
Yeah, you cannot have fixed services for them because they're constant. It's a moving target.
Yeah, I mean, how can you have a school when the people keep moving? And how can you have a healthcare clinic when they keep moving. Now, let's talk about what you looked at. Can you tell us briefly?
Yeah, but they're like the source of the problem though, maybe. It's not.
That's
Okay.
what I'm getting at.
Okay, so I was looking on the unpasteurized milk consumption among basically all the people in, like all the population in Israel. I specified on the under 9, like children under 9 unpasteurized milk consumption, which actually were given to them by their parents.
Unpasteurized milk.
Unpasteurized milk. Yeah, so you have all the bacteria, viruses, everything is there, nicely packed. So I was looking actually to the knowledge of parents, if they know what actually is in this unpasteurized milk and what are the consequences of giving it to your child or drinking it by yourself. So the main problem of Israel, basically, why there's even a case like that, I was looking on brucellosis infections. So it's a third country disease. We are not supposed to have it in Israel at all. It's treated, just your cattle have to be immunized against brucellosis and other infectious diseases, but the main source of cattle is among the Bedouin population and Arab populations, which are really small, and the country cannot really keep track on this for this cattle. So there's a problem, and they don't want to interact with the Israeli health system, because Israeli health system go and says, well, you have to kill all your cattle because it's infected, and because Bedouins, they basically getting this is source of food, this cattle, and financial source, they can sell milk, and now they don't want to kill all these cattle, and they're like, well, you should fund us then for all the killed cattle that we're gonna have. And the Israel system doesn't pay too much. They don't want to get any involved with this, because we already have so many spendings around, for the health system. So they don't really care about it. So they don't take care of this, and this is the main problem, because it's continuing to spread. No kill infected animals, and they've been spreading, which actually I can understand the Bedouin population. Why would they do that? Because it's the main source of their finance and food.
So let me make the point, thank you, and you said it, I'm just going to summarize the point that I want to make from it. No, that's good. So in the Bedouin culture, drinking unpasteurized milk from their own animals, sheep and camel, goats and camels are the primary source. This is part of their culture. And so you have the dominant culture in this country, like you have the dominant culture in Australia, or Sweden, or New Zealand. And that dominant culture is well-intentioned, by our standards at least, but what they're doing is, by trying to bring modern healthcare, a modern healthcare system, to everyone, they have a conflict with the culture of some minority groups. And it's a challenge. It's probably almost insolvable. It's very challenging. And almost every healthcare system is going to have minority populations, often poorer or disadvantaged minority populations. And even with the best of intentions, you have cultural conflict, and that cultural conflict is going to affect the quality of healthcare delivery with poorer outcomes. So people are not going to get vaccinated. They're going to get avoidable illnesses. There are all sorts of things that are going to happen because of the culture. Okay, let's break for lunch. It's 12:20, 1:15. Okay, 55 minutes, okay? 1:15, Barbara comes and talks, and then we got 2 presentations after that. Okay? Thanks, everybody.